Ether is one of the most popular digital assets and powers the Ethereum blockchain. Back in 2018, then SEC Corporation Finance Director Bill Hinman stated that he believed Ether was not a security. Last month, CFTC Chair Benham expressed his view that Ether is a commodity. The State Attorney General of New York asserted in a court filing last month that Ether is a security. Clearly, an asset cannot be both a commodity and a security. Do you agree?
Actually, all securities are commodity under the Commodity and Exchange Act. It's that we are excluded commodities. But I would agree that a security cannot be also an excluded commodity and an included commodity. I'm sorry, Chair, just to talk about the Commodity Exchange Act more precisely.
Okay, so do you recognize, how would you categorize Ether then?
Look, I think that the general sweep of what Congress did, not just in the 30s, but as amended.
I'm asking you, sitting in your chair now, to make an assessment under the laws as exist. Is Ether a commodity or a security?
Without speaking to any one.
I know you've repeatedly said you're not going to speak to one, except you've spoken to one, Bitcoin. So I'm asking you to speak to a second one, the second largest market cap here.
And speaking to the tokens, there's 10 to 12,000. If there's a group of entrepreneurs in the
I'm asking about one.
The public is anticipating a profit based on the...
I'm asking you a specific question, Chair Gensler. I said this in private. This should be no shock to you. I'm asking this question. Is Ether a commodity or a security?
And again, it depends on the facts and the law, and if there's a group of individuals...
I'm asking you about the facts and the law sitting in your seat and the judgment you are making.
And so, Mr. Chair, I think you would not want me to prejudge because I'm also...
But you have prejudged on this. You've taken 50 enforcement actions. We're finding out as we go, as you file suit, as people get Wells notices on what is a security in your view, in your agency's view. I'm asking you a very simple question about the second largest digital asset. What is your view?
And my view is if there's a group of individuals in the middle that the public is anticipating...
All right, so let me just ask a second question then. Do you think it serves the market for an object to be...
So it's really interesting. First, hello. Secondly, it's really interesting to see that Gary Gensler getting lost in identifying as a security or a commodity, something that is well known, but yet he is able to find more than 50 companies across the world, or across the US at least, in the space of they are not adhering to regulations. So that's really interesting. So welcome to episode 174 of season 7 of Dxtalks and Cryptotalks. We're really happy to be here. Tay will be joining within a few minutes, a little bit late, but this is how the show runs. We're always here and we will continue. So how was your week? Hope all was good. And as usual, we will always start with the fraud. Make sure not to fall victim of any of the fraud games that is being played, and there are many. So please make sure that your name is not compromised. You have multi-factor authentication enabled on your wallet, on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on your Telegram, on your anything that does in this space. Today we are seeing a fast age of one-way transactions, which is in the decentralization. This is how it is. Once you do the transaction, you cannot play back. There's no middleman to give you your rights or give you or to file it or to flag it. You can flag it. This is where chain analysis works in, but you cannot return it or reverse it. That's the age of differences between the world of centralized and decentralized in the space of how we want it to be. So make sure you don't fall a victim, not to copy a website. Make sure to double sure double make sure that you are actually reaching the right website. And believe me, I fell victim to this. So with that, we'll continue breaking the latest updates. Last week we had the consensus awaited event, which was a great event, by the way. And this week I will be in Dubai. So we have a lot of events coming up. We have Crypto 306. We have Dubai FinTech Summit. We have a lot of upcoming events next week to be fine-tuned. We have Crypto V Summit. We have, sorry, I'm just trying to read them because, again, the same presentation, something is happening to it. We have also Global Blockchain Global Cybersecurity Summit happening. We have the Innovation Startup Exhibition happening today and tomorrow, so make sure to join. It's really amazing the amount of events that is actually being served in our region in the space of blockchain. So I'll be speaking with Crypto V Summit. I'll be speaking with other events also. So soon you will I will share them on social media. So do join the latest updates. Before we go to our news, let me share a small, hopefully the display is good. I don't know, I'm not sure. But let me share a small video about starting in the space of any company, of course, from the wise man himself.
Easy to have ideas. It's very hard to turn an idea into a successful product. There are a lot of steps in between, and it takes persistence, relentlessness. So I always tell people who are, who think they want to be entrepreneurs, you need a combination of stubborn relentlessness and flexibility. And you have to know when to be which. And basically you need to be stubborn on your vision, because otherwise it'll be too easy to give up. But you need to be very flexible on the details, because as you go along pursuing your vision, you'll find that some of your preconceptions were wrong, and you're going to need to be able to change those things. So I think taking an idea successfully all the way to the market and turning it into a real product that people care about and that really improves people's lives is a lot of hard work.
Indeed, taking an idea and turning it into something or a company is a hard idea, and this is where we are today with our Dxtalks, our persistence for the last 3 years, and we are going. Episode 174 and more will be. End of the year, maybe we will celebrate together 200th episode. We don't know, but for sure our vision will continue. So it's really important for us to move forward and then move towards the future. And this is where we'd love your participation in helping us, sharing, liking, and then supporting us. So until day comes, let me join one more video, and hopefully by the time we'll start again. So I was sent, I think it's a rumor so far, I was sent a few minutes ago that Saudi Arabia joins the BRICS, and I just fact checked. There's no right information or source to be a rumor. So do watch out the rumors, guys. It will join. It has showed interest, of course, but again, it's not now today. At least within the news or the latest news within the last hour. So it's very important to always fact check your news so you don't fall victim of becoming a spreader of fake news. Saudi Arabia wants to join the BRICS, but the news that I got seems to be fake. So with that, let me welcome Tay directly to the platform before we take the news. Salam.
تحياتي
Hello.
كيفكم؟
We're good. And you?
All is well, man. All is well. Alhamdulillah. Cannot complain. A very rough week.
Tell me a week that is not rough.
Yeah, especially from. We're gonna talk about it later, but there were some things in the Bitcoin community that happened this week that were very interesting and showed a new way of perhaps joining early start projects, but on the Bitcoin network.
That's very good. That's a very good draft or shift from the Bitcoin itself. I've heard a lot of new important information that we will be accepting more and more adoption on possibly happening on layer 2, not on layer 1, for it to be able to be as much scalable towards the applications, the innovation that's happening. So that's what we will be talking about. So I'll give you just the introduction before we go into our news. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Rudy. Thank you again. I want to welcome again everyone. تحياتي للجميع. This piece, I'll do it just in Arabic because it has a very historical meaning. We want a free flow of thoughts. بهذا الأسبوع صار في حدث جدا مهم على شبكة البيتكوين بيتعلق بشيء اسمه الانشنت سبلاي. الانشنت سبلاي هو البيتكوين يلي عمره أكثر من 7 سنين. صار في حركة ل كمية من البيتكوين تقريبا 3200 بيتكوين بالتحديد بتعود لفترة 10 سنين. So it is part of the ancient supply. وكان في كتير speculation على هذا الموضوع. شيء كان عم يقول إنه this is perhaps anti-Gox selling part of the Bitcoin stash that they hold for the claimers. Some were saying no, this might be the US government selling Bitcoins. In both cases, this was not an internal transfer. It was a dormant wallet, which, according to Glassnode, they say there is around 4.9 million Bitcoins that have not moved, are under this ancient supply. يلي انباع من 4.9 million Bitcoins in Asian supply is roughly 365,000 Bitcoin only. Counting for as well that there is 20% usually lost and can never be retrieved. So the probability of this money moving anytime soon is shrinking with time as well. This coincided with new movement on the Bitcoin network itself, with a topic that we covered 3 or 4 episodes ago about Bitcoin ordinals. So we welcome a new protocol today, BRC20, or the version of ERC, BEP20, and those type of tokens, but on the Bitcoin network. شهدت ارتفاع 600% بقيمتها السوقية لهيدي التوكنز 600% surge in volume. We're talking about now, I think it is around 130 million, still very fresh, very young, but the potential is as big as what Ethereum started with the token movement على أيام the kittens that they used to do, the birth of ERC20 tokens and MEM tokens. Pepe was another success. Pepe was not just a birth now, it was hard work and accumulation of the Pepe meme for the past, I think, six years. So now they're reaping the rewards with their own token. So حركة التوكنايزيشن بعدها قوية، والتماسك البيتكوين اليوم على 28,000 في عم يهيئ لأرضية مختلفة وما كان حدا يمكن متوقع إنه يشوف BRC20 protocols, because this means there will be a new flush of capital into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin ticks the regulatory box. يعني ال SEC, Gary Gensler, the team, the whole Washington politics around it is supportive of Bitcoin. It is not considered as a security. It is not considered as a commodity. It's considered as standalone innovation by itself. So this gives the trust of the institutional money, which is today led by MicroStrategy, to invest more and more in Bitcoin. بما إنه there's no head to attack, the probability of Bitcoin being the dominant network is becoming perhaps more and more real as time is going by. So it was, I think, a very exciting week, the past week. We saw as well one of the validators stake out their share from the Ethereum network. We're going to cover it in the news, but this was worth a note to look at BRC20 tokens and what's the next wave of innovation that will happen there.
Very interesting day. I think there's a lot of innovation happening in the world of tokens, in the world of crypto.
في copying كمان كتير، يعني بتشوف اللي صار على ايثيريوم تشين بيصير على البي ام بي تشين بيصير على البيتكوين تشين.
It's replicating the same effort.
Replicating on different networks on different chains. So different chains mean different communities, different mindsets, different purchasing powers, different visions. So it is, you cannot 100% forecast it, but you can spot the patterns when they happen.
Yeah, but can we say in general that Ethereum is driving the innovation on the blockchain itself?
They have an active community. The Ethereum community is one of the most organized communities. They do have institutions backing them up as well. But when we say Ethereum, we're talking about the token. We're not talking about like consensus. We're not talking about Infura, although they are very important for the Ethereum ecosystem because they're providing the infrastructure. But still, without this community that is buying and aping in for this infrastructure to be sustainable, they did an amazing job. And Bitcoin has its community as well and has its brand. Bitcoin was adopted by a government. Perhaps more governments will do it down the road. It has proven use cases outside just money, and you can use it in authentications and in proof of existence protocols and so on. So there's nothing to compare here. It's like oranges and apples. It's according to your taste.
Great. So let's hit the news. Here we go.
So, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you are watching from. This is the crypto news for our week 18. We were just talking in a nice intro. We did it in Arabic, but let me recap what we talked about. Basically, the significance of two things that happened the past week. First one was the 600% surge in volume we saw on the new protocol with the Bitcoin tokens, the BRC20, and the birth of more and more mem tokens carrying the BRC20 flag. So this significant move with the analysis that came out from Glassnode that showed some dormant wallets had moved or had signed over movement of Bitcoin totaling to 3,200 Bitcoins in total. And knowing that those type of coins where they have plus 7 years lifetime in their existence, they're known to belong to the ancient supply. The ancient supply in total is around 4.9 million. We assume 20% to be basically lost. And today, what has been consumed is around 365,000 Bitcoins. So this number is, pretty small still compared to what can be held by the US government, what could be held by the MTGOX creditors, and so on. So, with those two significant events, there was some FUD, and this led to the brief crash of Bitcoin prices. Bitcoin prices had a week low of 27,000 and had the week high at 29,970. With all what was happening on the Bitcoin network, there were some other activities that we should note for. One was Cardano. So Cardano had topped the development chart by GitHub. And again, we were just talking about the importance of the community. Cardano is proving more and more to have a stable growth in their GitHub commits. Not only this is aligned with the growth of their communities and specifically in new areas. So more and more meetups are happening and summits are happening in Middle East and North Africa. There is more and more adoption of the local chapters of tech hubs to the ADA ecosystem or the ADA ecosystem. So all these improvements, they will provide the support that the ADA price needs as well. And this was noted last week when we saw Cardano topping the development of the charts at GitHub. Next on our news for this week, as we talked about it twice, once in Arabic and once in English, the importance of the on-chain data that came from the crypto news. So this will make me wonder as well, who are the new influencers that will be promoting the BRC20 tokens? Certainly this year, not only Kim Kardashian, but Shaquille O'Neal has been served as well a bill for the false claims on trusting FTX and his solicitation without telling his viewers that he's getting paid to say that. This is resulting in fines to the promoters. which Kim Kardashian pays $1.26 million after being charged with illegally promoting crypto schemes. And she was one of the people to promote Ethereum Max on Instagram. And she told her followers, yeah, you should buy Ether Max. And then we all know what happened with Ether Max. So she was sued in that process. In the beginning of the session, we talked about one of the validators exiting the sorry, 1 second. Yeah, exiting the Ethereum node. But before that, let's talk about this as well. The new record for daily transactions that was set by Bitcoin. We have, according to Glassnode, more than 568,000 processed transactions in a single day. And this is surpassing the previous peak during the 2017 bull run. So the importance of this point is to show again where those transactions are moving between like from and to. One was the Bitcoin ordinals, and as we said, $126 million in total market cap is basically very, very immature still, but shows the potential since there are communities loyal to Bitcoin and to the decentralization and its proof of work, and they're building the next wave, or let's say copying the next wave of Ethereum products on the Bitcoin network. So the data on Glassnode is suggesting an on-chain market analysis platform. It's suggesting that there is an increase approximately due to the ordinal transactions, which made up over 50% of the daily transactions that were happening. So we're talking about approximately 2.4 million Bitcoin ordinals being processed since January. And all this data is to be found on glassnode.com. We're not affiliated with them. They don't pay us money. It's not a promotion. It's just a good platform to go and take some on-chain intelligence data. Speaking of not taking money, another example is Kim Kardashian with Shaquille O'Neal. Both of them, they were served fines because they promoted different crypto projects without saying to their viewers they are being paid for what they say. And as we mentioned before, we mentioned a lot Glassnode in our talks, but they are a good source of data analysis that is easy to read, easy to explain to viewers as well. With this, we end with CoinDesk being the validator that had successfully exited Ethereum as a node validator. So they staked Ethereum to be an early node validator when the announcement from proof of stake, or the announcement to move from proof of work to proof of stake, they wanted to witness this change, to be on the take a four seat in the transition of this future. So CoinDesk decided to participate as a validator, and what happened is on April 25, 2023, they were able to withdraw their staked Ethereums, and the process took them in total 12 days. Now, why 12 days? This is how the protocol is designed to manage liquidity, manage security, and on top of other features. So with this, like again, perhaps for me, it is the most important to watch for the BRC20 tokens, the Bitcoin ordinals, Bitcoin protocol. Try to read about it, research it. And we will be in Beirut next week. So perhaps a meetup will be announced where we will be at Beirut Digital District. I know as well there are a few companies from the UAE attending some meetups there. So maybe we'll see you in person.
Yeah, indeed. I think there's a good question here, which has just popped up. I took the Cardano blockchain training. I see them pushing more about the community and devs, and I think this goes aligned into what the news was, and then we discovered, and that's why they're also pushing their agenda, and that's why I think their Dubai summit is a much awaited for. I was called today by one of the organizers, trying to see. We're still trying to see where do we stand as a community, and we still are lost in that space. Hopefully, we'll have some more clearance as the days come by. So I don't know if you have more info, Tay, to put on the Cardano.
Nothing. I think there is a good presence for Cardano and UAE. And I believe UAE is the right hub as well, because it connects a lot with the African continent, especially Egypt, Morocco, and few other African countries, which need today crypto solutions and blockchain-based perhaps innovations to move from paper-based systems into digital systems. The role of authentication, the role of sending and receiving value, payments can dramatically be improved using those two technologies combined.
Indeed.
So, but it starts with a community effort, and I think the one in UAE is doing, the best they can to make this happen.
Indeed, and I think trying to remember, Emurgo, the company, is really pushing a lot in this space with the help of Cardano, trying to finance a lot of solutions built on Cardano for it to be able to sustain and for it to be able to do an impact and change. It's very interesting. We have another question. Will Kim go to jail? I love this question, and I'm sure he's a man. He
No, I
wants.
think she will pay a fine, just like anyone else. They will pay a fine, and that's it.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Any other questions? I think is the second innovation, not because I said it's driving innovation. So here, I think ETH is the second innovation. They have NFTs, DeFi, and more. So
Yeah, it's like a test bed. The mistakes that let's say the mistakes or limitations Bitcoin or Ethereum faced in their growth, the ordinals community can learn from it. Just this is a simple example on how things can go.
indeed. Just let's remove this. It's an interesting time to really be here, discovering what's gonna happen and where technology is going and where the blockchain is actually going and maturing. So there's a lot of innovation, and we're building on top the dApps. And I think for me the most important part is of course the blockchain itself, but how people are taking this and then going into the innovation, because it's driven by the community and how they are whether enabling financial solutions or replicating financial solutions using decentralization. And this is where also Flus is trying to be on that stage of disruption, I think, right?
Yeah, from our perspective, the next wave of crypto adoption needs to come from a better user experience and comes from a real need. It should solve a real problem for a community or for a country or for a group of people. It needs to be sustainable at the same time because you're providing a service. Today, it's not just I want to buy crypto. There is a whole process that comes with it to make sure that the money is clean, to make sure that the origin of the crypto is clean, to make sure that the right person is purchasing the crypto, he's above 18. Uh, he's not using his mother's credit card to purchase crypto without her knowing. And so it is no longer the 2014, 2012 times where you meet over a cup of coffee and you exchange a few €100. Today, one
Things have changed.
Bitcoin is $30,000. It is a cryptocurrency backed by a government, and many governments in the Arab region will be adopting Bitcoin as well, just like what El Salvador did. All those things that happened are happening and will happen. Yeah, we need to take part of building this thing.
Indeed, and that's where hopefully our role will also be in that space towards helping the future. So with that, I don't know if you have any last words, Tay, before we close our today's session, and we continue, and we'll see you also on the next episode 175.
No final words from me except the following. Please take your time this weekend to read more about Bitcoin ordinals. Read about Bitcoin BRC20 token standard that became this new destination for mem tokens. If you are a mem token collector, this is a nice new adventure to start. And with this, next week we will be live from Beirut. And if you are in Beirut, please do reach out to me at Flus on Telegram, FLUUS on Telegram at Flus. Thank you, Rudy, and see you next week.
We'll see you next week. So that was it. And